All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order, 7:01. Anybody recording besides Lake Cam? No recording. All right. First off, I'd like to apologize. I didn't print the agenda in my rush to print a bunch of things. I neglected that one item. I wish it was, I could say it was to save on ink and paper, but I actually just forgot. So I have it on my phone. I will have to read it out that way. And we have a guest today. We have Nancy Yeats. She's on here. It's later in the old business. We can move it up earlier too, since she came here for it. Don't want to make her wait through everything else. But first, we will do the approval of the October 2nd minutes, which I emailed to everybody, but I also printed out a copy because Brian's not on email. Did you have a chance to read that?
I have
yet?
just read it, yes.
You read it? All right. Fortunately, Liz isn't here today. So there was one thing I saw in here. She had mentioned the property being Norman Oral, but it's actually Emery Oral's property. I don't remember where that was located.
3/4 of the way down.
On the second page.
It says Jesse and then Jesse again.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. That was the one thing I noticed.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody
So it's the
else-
sentence that Jesse says that Norman Oral, that's supposed to be
Right,
Emery.
that was
Okay.
Emery
All right,
Oral. It was referring to his property.
I move to accept the minutes with that one correction.
Second?
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nothing heard? So moved.
Do we need to have a secretary?
I was just gonna say here, as I'm writing down, realizing Liz has been doing this the last few weeks, and she's not here today. Is there anybody willing to step in and take notes today?
I'd nominate Donna.
Sure.
Well, sorry, but we need somebody, and we're kind of hard pressed. And we have to share the duties.
That's right.
Do you have writing paper?
I could just write on the back of this. And I'm going to follow what she did.
I
second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye. Emphatically.
Anybody but me.
Opposed?
We'll make it up to you.
Nothing heard? All
When can
right.
I start voting?
So moved.
Go get sworn in.
So the minutes are approved. The first action item, election of the potential new member, Donna Wabrek. So already going to work even though you're not even elected in.
It's part of the process.
Anybody motion to
Okay, you're gonna
elect
have to
her?
give me your last name again and I'll do it.
Wabrek.
Well,
WABREK.
You say Wabrek too.
wait, Wabrick.
Yep,
Wabrek.
exactly.
Right. I move that we accept Norma Wabrick as a member of the
Donna
Open Space
Wabrek,
Committee.
yeah.
Second
Is
it?
that-
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, welcome to the club.
Thank you.
We do not have a permanent secretary.
Or that's later.
We do now. Brian,
That's
we do
later
now.
on here.
Oh, good.
And the next item is the introduction of a potential new member. Is it Dr. Adam Young? He calls
Dr.
himself Adam Young when he introduces, but he's actually Dr. Adam Young.
I go by Adam.
What are you a doctor of?
Cognitive psychology. So I grew up in Franklin, Massachusetts. I moved to Lakeville a little over a year ago, and I live on Pickens Street with my wife right now. I spent 5 years in Boulder, Colorado, where I earned my doctorate degree. And it's there that I fell in love with open spaces. They have an excellent open spaces and mountain parks division. An awful lot of land set aside for recreational use, and we sure used it often. And if I can contribute to the formation or the preservation of that in Lakeville in any small way, that'd make me greatly satisfied.
All right.
I'd also like to lend my services. I am a researcher by day, and so if that ever comes in handy, you'll have someone
Wait till you hear what we have to talk about pretty soon. I think you're gonna like this group here, and you know we're glad to have you here for sure. If I could speak for everybody on that one, I know I am.
Thank you.
Do we have to vote anything, or does he need to talk with the
He's
selectmen
not being
first?
voted in today or anything
Okay.
like that. You know, just introducing today. And that's the next step for Donna is we have to get the selectmen to approve her in, swear her in. But yeah, he's just meeting us today, so.
Nice to meet you all.
And this is Martha, but she goes by Mike Schroeder, Jesse Medford, Brian Reynolds, Brian Anderson, and Donna Weber. We're missing two members today. Liz
Did you
Nash.
introduce that, Brian?
I did. I said.
Okay, all right, didn't
Liz
hear it.
Nash is out today, and Dee Elliott. She hasn't been here a little while. She's considering if she's gonna come back. She's has a farm and just now getting off the season, so newborn and been really busy. So just weighing that out right now. But so most of us are here today. Next on the agenda, we'll skip right ahead to old business. That's where we were. We always discuss some properties that are for sale, maybe being developed, things that aren't quite finalized yet. Try to see if there's anything maybe we could advise on to the selectmen, zoning, anybody, Concom, that's what, Conservation Commission. And she was so kind to come here today because we wrote a letter that they got, and she was going to speak about that property. I don't have a copy of that letter with me either, but you don't happen to have a copy of it with you, do you?
I don't, but I was very impressed with the letter, that's why I'm here.
Right. Well, it's good.
And even though I was recently appointed to the Conservation Commission, I started this before they even appointed me because I've been involved with this property for a long time. The Leonard Washburn Brook and the Coy
Yes.
Brook both are on the property where the old Lakeville Nursery used to be. And originally it was slated for a market basket. I was the agent. I can't remember if I was on or the agent. I've been on the Conservation Commission before and I've been the agent, now I'm on again. So I can't remember what role it was, but when it was gonna be a market basket, it was a huge project. It involved replacing a bridge, having a designated turning lane. They were using up a lot of the property. Natural Heritage was involved, and they were told they had to put land. When you put land under a conservation restriction, you need to find somebody that will hold that restriction so that they will watch it. And Wildlands Trust was approached about the Market Basket property, and they didn't want any part of it because it was too large of a project. So then that went away. Market Basket went on strike. A lot of things happened and that went away. Next came Spillane's Nursery, which seemed like, this won't be so bad. And that never even came to fruition. They never even followed through. I think it was cost prohibitive for them to do this 37 acres on this property. So now, Bob Palucci bought it. And as far as I'm concerned, this seems like a pretty good use for the property. I was very impressed by your letter. That's why I went to the first Conservation Commission meeting before I got on, because I was very interested in this and ended up speaking to it from the audience. And immediately, because I have the ties with Wildlands Trust, I drove myself to Plymouth and brought a set of the plans to Wildlands Trust and said, look, Scott McFadden, I said, this seems like a pretty good use of this property. And I am bringing you a present tonight, which this kind of a venue is very difficult, I guess, because I don't have a stiff, I'm looking at you, I don't have a stiff board to be able to show it, but you can move it around. This is yours to have. Pardon? Oh, don't cover the microphone.
Paper over the mic.
There's not a mic there, but
Maybe you could hold it up to the camera.
I will hold it up to the camera after I explain it.
Same one that was at planning.
All right, but you can see that they are going to be putting quite a bit
Yeah, almost 21 acres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
under conservation. And here's a Leonard
You
Washburn.
said 36 total or 37 acres total, and they're
thought-
putting 21?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, 35.95 acre
all right,
project,
so 36.
20.9 acre.
So, and this is the
wildlife
Leonard
trust.
Washburn over
Right.
here, and here's Pecoi Brook over here. So the red, the blue, the red, this is turtle habitat, and the blue, this is all going under a conservation restriction. And Wildlands Trust, the reason they were interested in it in the first place is they have another property right here that's contiguous. And then they have the Richmond, is it Richmond Woods, Brian? Do you know that? Another property over here.
I think I think that's it. yeah.
Because a lot of the land trusts these days don't like to take little isolated pieces here and there.
Right,
And, well, this isn't a little piece either, so.
right.
um,
I mean, I don't see anything here that mentions a restriction, so.
What do you mean? This is what's being proposed for the this is what Natural Heritage, well, Natural Heritage is insisting on the turtle habitat right here, Mike. Right? But this is what the developer has worked out with Natural Heritage to put under. I mean, it's not in writing yet, and Wildlands Trust hasn't even done a site visit yet, but they're very interested. But they have a process.
So they would hold the restriction.
They would hold the restriction.
Oh, excuse me. Do they require an endowment?
Yes, I'm
So
sure they
that-
will, but we haven't got that far yet.
Okay,
Like I said, they
right,
haven't
okay,
done the site
right.
visit. All I could get from them, that I was allowed to say they're very interested. This is gonna be, it's like Mr. Markson has up on County Street, except for contractors. For example, one of the units, there's not a place where local businessmen can't have their machines in their yard with local zoning. So, for example, one of the ones that is a potential renter is a glass company, and all their glass would be stored there. I mean, they're gonna have the oil traps and everything in every single bay. So the glass would be stored there, and the guy would come in the morning and load up his material and go to work. He's only using 7 acres.
So it's a warehouse?
They're calling contractor bays.
Yes.
I see.
20
Okay,
bays,
yeah.
37,500 square feet.
You know, the infiltration's gonna go into the ground. I mean, they have all the engineering. If you want a full set of plans, I can get it for you, but
But they're
they're,
getting mostly everything off the street, right?
it's gonna be low,
Water, gas.
yeah. You know, the
No
roof
wells,
drains will be,
no wells,
you know, go right into the ground. The engineering will show that everything
No
has to be cooled
tanks.
down. These are cold water trout streams, so anything that's discharged cannot enter this area,
Right.
but they're quite a ways away.
What is meant by the term neutral area?
That's what Natural Heritage said, I guess, because the river's already protected and they're not going there.
Okay.
They're gonna use for their, you know, what I like is they're gonna define the limit of work with those, you know, Palucci does it, I love it. I had called him because I was trying to get us to say, everybody has to do this, but it's like this fat around filter fabric, and they put it in, they blow in the insulation, they don't move. It's not like those little skinny
Yeah.
hay
I know
rolls
exactly
they
what
put
you're
around.
talking- yeah.
Those don't last overnight in a
Right.
storm. So that's gonna go around the entire project to define the limit of work.
I also
which is-
remember him saying that the center of the river is over here, and this is being, the neutral area is being the river banks.
Right.
that they're not
Well, that's
touching
what,
at
that's
all.
the resource area, is the bank of the river.
Right.
What do these symbolize, the little
Non-habitat.
six-sided?
Octagons there,
Yeah.
whatever they are. I don't really know, Brian. But I can find out for you.
Well, just, you know, I didn't know if it was like, you know,
What is it, does it say
Yeah,
non-habitat?
non-habitat area.
you know, if it was, you know, storage.
Oh, you know what this might be, is where the building's this is where the house
Oh, yeah.
and stuff, and the house, there's a house and 2 outer buildings,
Yeah,
I
they're taking
believe.
those buildings down.
Right,
My question is,
yep.
what is left that they can take back from, really, I mean, from their plan? It sounds like everything's pretty much set in stone almost.
Well, there are a couple of, and it's not on this plan, it's on the bigger plan, but I think he's gonna get 2 house lots on Cross Street.
Right.
So the house lots would be
Out of the area that's
out
impacted.
of the impact area,
Yeah.
okay. And the flow of the river is,
Right here's his Leonard Washburn, right here,
yeah, and where is Pocoy?
over here. Right
You
here,
folks
actually,
could
this is
come
the
around and
line
look
between
at it.
Middleborough and Lakeville. Actually, red lines probably. That's how it changes because the river doesn't always stay the same place, I'm sure. Between Middleborough and Lakeville, that town line has changed a few times over
Yeah,
the
yeah.
last 100
And
years.
when you live in
Oh, of
flat
course,
country, rivers move, yeah.
So that part, you're saying there's still some wiggle room with the houses? 'Cause I heard that it's 3.
You'll have to come back to
right, it's
us
3
for that.
houses that they were talking about building right off of Cross Street.
Right. Which is kind of the same thing they did on Paradise Lane. Remember Paradise Lane where they put that road? No?
I don't remember. no.
It's down by, it's just a little further down Cross Street.
Oh, you mean,
What was her name? Mary?
yes, that did not turn out so beautiful.
No. Well, the houses aren't that bad, and they
It's-
did, and that might be part of
Yes,
the land
but
that's
they-
attached back
they,
here.
The
Yeah, I know what you
access,
mean.
they tended to disguise the access, because it was supposed to be public access to get to the back, to
Right.
get to the river, and nobody knows where
Where
that
that
is.
is. No, it's the same thing with our property on Allen Road.
Well, I don't know that there's really any more left for open space to do. I mean, we already expressed our opinion in that letter, and I think we've really,
And it does appear that this is doing more than the original plans that
Right.
we had. I just want to tell everybody here, there's a wetland in here that is absolutely gorgeous. It's not all that big an area, but oh, it is so beautiful.
It is. Been
The
there.
one over
With you?
here is full of trash.
Yes, it is.
What does that say? I can't read it for.
proposed drainage area.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So if you would like more plans, I'll be happy to get them for you. And I probably can't answer all the questions. I'm
Right.
just, to me, this is a far better use than the market basket. And
Right.
what else could happen if this didn't?
So net-
Because this is
net-
costly on this land. So it needs to be, I mean, I'm happy to see a developer that's gonna do this and is gonna do the, what'd you call it again, when you have to put, what's the word? That he has to put money into Wildlands Trust
Oh,
too.
an endowment.
An
And down, thank you.
But I've talked to some of the abutters, and they seem to say that this is better than the things that they had heard in the past, and they think it's better than
They came to the
anything,
meeting.
right, anything else that they would get in the future
Future,
if this
right.
wasn't done, so,
Right.
you know, it's just a matter of making sure there's no traffic coming through, because there is that road there that
No, he's gonna
they
put
want
up a
insured.
gate.
Right, there's a gate there, and, you know, they insured there will be a gate there.
No,
that-
so
that
the
was
road, will the
worries.
road still be used?
So would that be just
I
like an
don't think so.
emergency gate or something like
I
that?
think it would be an emergency gate. But that's
Fire
gonna be closed
department.
off. He's saying it's not, I don't know what kind of, I don't know if it'd be a deed restriction, but it's a thought.
Just for point of clarification, is this, I'd never heard this term net benefit area, so that just means the area that they're regarding that as a benefit to the environment or something like that? So this
yeah.
area that's going to be
Natural,
protected?
that's a natural heritage
Okay, all right, never heard of it
phrase.
before.
Net
Okay,
benefit
all right, I get it.
area.
I get it now.
Okay.
Oh,
So
natural
like I say,
heritage
if you
summary
want to
plan,
see more
okay.
plans, I can get them for you, but I just thought that this, because you let us express the interest, I thought it'd be
Yeah.
nice for you to see what
Well, our
Right.
big concern was the cold water,
Trout
you know,
Stream.
no pollution, not
Yeah.
getting any,
Because
warm
it-
drainage in there.
But
Yes.
this is natural heritage's plan.
Well, to tell you the truth, Natural Heritage won't tell you what to do. Because Bob went there several times and said, just tell me what you want and I'll do it. They won't tell you what,
But this is their
you
plan.
have to make the proposal. So
So the plan
he
is
worked
Zena's
with us, yeah, he
consultant.
worked with Jamie and Bob Ford actually now works for Zena. And they came up with this and Natural Heritage agreed.
Okay, all right.
So, and like I say, and I'm chasing after Wildlands Trust to make sure that it gets held.
Okay.
Because if it doesn't get held, then nobody's watching. And Wildlands Trust is really good. We've tried in the past to have our own land trust in Lakeville, but it's just not sustainable when you have a really nice organization that, like Wildlands Trust, that's been around for a really long time and they're sustainable, so.
Right.
And the endowment will help, and I can't tell you, I can tell you eventually how much it will be, but I can't tell you right now. I
Well,
think
that's
they do
kind of between, that's
$1,000.
kind of between them
Right.
and
Yeah, right, right.
Lucci, yeah.
Right, in the past, I think it's been like $1,000 an acre maybe on other projects, but projects not very many people are doing 20 acres on a business property like this. So we're gonna hold it up for just,
Feel free to get up and come and look at things like this.
Okay.
What's her name?
That's Nancy Yates.
Nancy Yates.
Thank you.
She used to be selectman,
You
select person.
you wanna pass this around?
Yeah.
So, if there's any questions I
It's a
couldn't answer or
previously
whatever,
developed
I'll
property.
find
It
out
was a
for
nursery,
you,
a
but,
farm,
and if you'd
and-
like a whole plan, I can get you a whole plan too.
Are you familiar?
Thank you very much for presenting that
Very
to
good.
us
I haven't seen a
today.
beautiful wetland
I
yet.
think it's important
You
for
won't.
boards
You
to,
have to crawl down in it.
I see minimal impact on the environment.
Now, is this plan
Well,
available
it's a very good
online?
plan.
Yeah, it's a very
you
nice
should have seen the
sense.
market basket, that was huge.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's why the,
The
the
town,
butters
it'll be
feel so
available
much
in
better
the
about
town
this.
offices, except
Yeah.
at this stage if it
because
gets.
it's just gonna be,
forever.
it's just gonna be storage space, right? I mean, just.
Right, it's not gonna have constant traffic
you
in
said
there.
this was
out.
our
Right, no
copy.
underground tanks,
Right.
no,
And they'll have the oil traps or whatever, because there's gonna be
Exactly.
vehicles going in and out, and,
yeah, and they, but I mean,
The concern is pollution, I mean, obviously, because
exactly.
contractor bays, that can happen, so.
so basically, the only thing that could go awry would be if Wildlands Trust decides not to hold a conservation restriction, then we'll have to try something else. But, like I say, they seemed interested, and Scott was on 2 weeks vacation, he's back trying to catch up, so they are gonna come and, do a site visit. Soon, hopefully. Actually, I'll probably give them another little nudge.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yep.
So let's finish
Night.
clap.
You too. Night.
Thank you.
All right, well, skipping back to the beginning, discussion about the results of your booth at the Lakeville
Well, it
Arts and
had
Music Festival.
it got a lot of attention. I was delighted by the number of children that stopped by. I know that some of them thought my little boxes of things I had found were for sale, but they still hung around. And so at least 20 individual children I interacted with answering their questions and telling them stories, and lots of adults as well. But actually, the downside of it is only one person expressed any interest in the open space plan, and I put her name down. I don't think she's interested in the committee so much, but she works for the Division of Marine Fisheries, and she said that she does a lot of work with maps. and that she might be able to help us out with our map updates, and so I have her contact information,
Great.
should we need that. I had that little questionnaire, and just a summary of it, quick summary, is that an awful lot of people had 18 people pick them up and fill them out. You know, that represents one member in a family, so that it was pretty amazing how many people had never been to various places, how many people had never heard of them. I do have a summary of the different responses. I have to admit, I was pretty tickled by the fact that 7 people had sometimes visited Tamarack Park, and 2 people said they visited it often. So anyway, I also asked, you know, for special comments, and somebody said they were interested in hiking and exploring open space, but they checked never for all of them. So that means that either they haven't been here very long, or they don't know where they are, they don't know about them. But my impression from this is we need to promote the spaces that we have. Several people noted that they wish they were trail maps, something that was downloadable online, because they didn't know where things were. Somebody just wrote the comment, "Save open space." There were a lot of people that expressed interest, even though they had never been to places, or I had never heard of them.
We don't have, that I know of, any downloadable maps on like the town website other than in the big open space plans. But I mean, something easy for someone who's going hiking
they need to be
download. You know?
We need to create them.
Yeah.
And it's something that ought to be a serious project, was my thought, so. And I can pass this around if anybody wants just to look a little bit more at this summary of.
I'd love to see it. Thank you.
It was only 18 people that took the time to do that, but.
Well, it's 18 people at an arts and music festival doing something that's not arts and music related, so they're.
I do have this kind of sad memory of this little girl who the family was walking past, and the little girl's tugging on her mom's hand, like, "Mom, I want to go in there, I want to go in there," and Mom is ignoring her and walking on. I wanted to say, "Let her come, let her come."
All right. Let's see what was next. Okay, something that was in our box. I think it's more of a for our information. I don't know that there's any. Let's put it here. Anything that we would want to do about it. Site plan for 296 Bedford Street. That is the old police station. What I got out of it is the impervious space is going to be improved. It was currently 93% impervious, and or is it? I think 92%, 92 or 93. It says in here somewhere, impervious, and it's going to be here it is. It's going to be 63. So yeah, it's going from 92%, 92.3% to 63.5%. So that's an improvement. And I don't think anything else in the design is even a concern of ours. It's just, you know, what the building looks like and you know,
What's
what
it
they're
gonna
doing
be
with
used
it.
for?
A salon, hair salon.
A salon, okay.
Massage, something like that. Here's so this is the existing building here. You know, it's all impervious right here. And
they're going to take the pavement out.
yeah, here is the new, here's the new, the building is taking up less area.
But this is still, are they counting this as no longer impervious? It's still going to be parking, isn't it?
Well, there's going to be grass around the building too, and landscaping where there wasn't before. And I guess this area out here is not impervious now where it was. So it's an improvement in that way.
Yeah. Because I couldn't quite figure out what they were going to do with the space here, because it looked like it's parking
Right.
with
I mean, it's still, mostly parking, but it's less. 'Cause, see, there's no landscaping now. And now all this up here is gonna be landscaped, so. It's gonna be much more appealing to the eye, too.
I do have a question about the landscaping. Is there any way that we could recommend the use of native plants?
Oh yeah, we definitely, that's our area of, that's where we would get involved, recommendations like that. Trying to find a design of what the,
On several
outside
occasions,
buildings.
we have actually sent the town a list. I don't know if they still have it, but
and also, with the night sky lighting and, here, this is something that.
Well, that's good, yeah.
Yeah. So, they're not planning on, having it too bright. It's got all the details in here. Here's what, see, it is a hairdresser, massage, reflexology. It's the entrance area. So, it's the first floor. Second floor, office, mechanical. Oh, here's the,
so he's already got this stuff rented out. That's amazing.
well, we don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
So that's what it'll look like, It's an appealing looking building.
Okay, who's the developer?
Developer, the owner of the property
Knox.
now is Mark Knox.
Okay.
The engineering is Zenith. It's not a developer, so to speak, I don't believe. But, so I mean, I don't know if there's anything right now you want to,
Well, we can do that, we can urge,
Yeah.
the use of native
and
plants.
the plan that they, was in a news article saying when their time frame is foundation before the winter. And so everything else would be, you'd be talking after the winter, so you're talking, recommending for landscaping, I mean, plenty of time.
But
They
you
still
do that-
haven't.
But you do that now, because they'll
Yeah.
be buying plants and
Right.
stuff.
They still haven't done, final meetings for final approvals and everything like that, so that's still an ongoing process. Yeah, if you wanna motion anything about plants, we can get working on a recommendation.
Well, they're not going to recommend anything specific, but
Just
they do
native.
have a, somewhere in the files in the town, I can probably dig it up and send it again, but we have provided the town with several lists of plants native to southeastern Massachusetts that are appropriate for,
Right.
I just learned about another one to add to the list.
Gotta update that list then.
What is it? Don't leave us hanging.
Don't leave you hanging. Magnolia acuminata. Let's see, what is the umbrella? It's a cucumber tree, because the fruit looks kind of like a cucumber. It's not a cucumber, but it kind of looks like one.
Thank you.
I think that's the only magnolia that'll grow this far north.
There are lots of species of magnolia that are up here, but they don't look anything like the magnolia in the south.
Really?
They're in the same genus,
Huh.
yeah.
So, the motion?
I move that we recommend, how can you make it stronger than just recommend?
Urge?
I move that we ask the planning board to insist that this
And
project.
He's
be-
on the planning board too. He's on the planning board too.
Who?
The owner of the property.
That's right, yeah.
And
So that we-
Conservation Commission, he's on that.
Right, yes, I
too.
know that. But with that, but he also claims to be an environmentalist, so he should be willing to do this.
Right.
That the planning board insists that they use plants that are native to southeastern Massachusetts.
I don't know if he's going back to planning board though, he's going to zoning. They wouldn't have anything to do
Well,
with
then
that, would
Well, then what option do we have? Just
Right.
to send a letter that say, we urge you to use, oh boy,
Strongly recommend.
strongly recommend.
Okay, I'd second that.
The use of
All right.
plants native to southeastern Massachusetts.
All in
And you could
favor?
mention that we
Aye.
believe that the town has a list, but if they cannot locate it, we will attempt to provide him with a list of appropriate
All right,
plants.
any opposed? All right, nothing heard. So moved. We will strongly recommend native plants from southeast Mass. And everything else you said.
Well, just that, we'll help if we can.
Yep. All right. Next on the agenda. We got an email from Lorraine Carboni about the Forest Legacy Program. And I gave you a copy of that.
Yep.
They need recommendations if anybody has. I believe it was by the 22nd, I think we have to recommend, so we have a couple of weeks. I don't know if anyone saw anything in there that made them, came up with anything to recommend.
This is something I must have missed this
You
one.
didn't miss,
Yeah.
you missed that email?
I just saw a short little blurb that she wrote, I don't recall.
Well, there was an attachment. So it was just 3 pages. Can you share that?
Yeah, just take whatever you need.
It's from the DCR. It was just these 3 pages that were attached to the Forest Legacy Program.
I don't think I did see that. I only had about 300. I've been away for 10 days, and I must have had 300.
I sent a lot of emails over
Yes,
the
you
last
did.
month. A lot of forwarding. But nothing jumped out at me as something we need to recommend to them. They sent it to all the committees, boards, commissions. So Lakeville is new. I believe it's one of the ones with the asterisk next to it saying it's new on there.
Yep.
So they're just looking
Indicates
for input.
towns added or expanded in current proposal.
Oh, we saw this last month, I think.
Right. Yeah, so, they're just, if you come up with anything in the next couple of weeks, I guess, before their deadline, I mean, none of us have anything now to recommend, so.
I'm not sure what they're looking for. I haven't read it, so
Yeah.
I would like to read it.
We'll pass it around. All right, that was the last of the discussion and action items. We're going to old business, the new open space plan. So you already said you got a point of contact to get help with the map updating.
I don't know what she can do for us. I mean,
Right, but
it's
it
a
gives us
Serpent.
another-
Serpent is the outfit that could work with us the best.
Right.
And at some point, I think this was actually when I was at the booth, I talked with Bill Napolitano, and he said that the reason that the maps in here are not so great is that they're actually photos of the maps, that they are not that they have the full digital information.
Okay.
But that's not what comes up. What comes up when we digitize this plan, we just have a digital version of the photograph of the maps, which is,
Right, so it's
Lousy.
low quality.
is we don't, but that there is much better really available in their files. And so that's what we want to work from is
Right.
those maps. And I have no idea how one goes about modifying them because some of them will need modifying.
Adam, what we're talking about now, the open space plan, it's something every 7 years it's due.
Yeah, he's got a copy right there.
I've been working through it.
Oh, great, great. So you're ahead of the game here.
And so you've already noticed that the maps are almost unreadable.
Yeah, it's quite frustrating.
All right, so, yeah, we're overdue to revise that. And, a lot of it is going to be the same, of course. There's some things that need to be updating, and we've determined that the maps are one of the things that really need some updating.
Right.
There's a, you know, a workbook that goes along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're just in the beginning stages of getting going on that. And, Mike was involved the last time, 7 years ago, and someone else that was involved, Joan Morton, has been telling me that she's more than happy to help out again this time too. So we've got a couple of people that have been through it before that'll, you know, help us get going again.
Unfortunately, I think I'm a lot more stupid than I was back then. I'm certainly not smarter. So.
You've got way more information now inside your head than you did then. No. So, you know, we haven't really assigned exactly what we're gonna, you know, where we're gonna attack next. So what we really got to do is make sure everybody gets in and reads it. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to yet. I was saying I didn't think it's a difficult read at all. I just read it one lazy weekend day and we got through it all. A lot of interesting information, easy read. But what we need to do is now just determine, okay, this portion needs to be changed. We need to know which portion doesn't need to be touched at all. So the next step of reading it is fine tuning it. And that's where we gotta, I would say by the December meeting, before we hit the real holiday season where nobody's gonna wanna do any real homework, and then I think by the next meeting we gotta really get the reading and maybe start making notes. But then that involves printing it out too, because I've been reading mine online. I don't have.
This is a library copy.
It's a library copy? Yeah, I don't even have a copy of the book, so. Yeah, I guess the next step, start printing it out and making notes on it, what needs to be changed. Come in here with that December.
Yeah, I don't have specific, you know, information, like items that need to be changed, but I just went through the, you know, the different parts of it and noted just which ones are going to need major revision and which
Right.
ones are not. Because there's a lot that is going to need to be changed.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be completely rewritten. I mean, the parts that need to be revised, you just can go through and just pick out those sections where something really has changed. Like the soils, we just revise it to reflect current usage. And the landscape survey, the scenic landscape, oh man, you gotta rewrite that one.
Scenic landscape one.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember reading that one, but it hardly applies now.
A lot of statistics will change too, and that's where the master plan probably has a lot of the information.
That's what I was thinking
yeah.
that they'll have, but they probably don't have that one.
And like we discussed last month about, who did you say did the night sky studies? Was it Mike Renzi? Was that
Yes,
the
and
name?
I know it said that I would contact him, and I have not.
Okay.
Uh,
See if he's willing to
I-
redo that study and if he, 'cause I know.
He just might be willing to take
Yeah.
that on. I will ask him.
That'd be great, 'cause that was a real interesting section of that, the plan. Anybody have anything else about the plan? I think we really need to start making notes of what, you know, what we can change, what we need to, I mean, we identify, okay, this needs to be changed, make the notes of what we have to do to change it, and then just start taking those steps. bring that in next month. Next discussion, open space liaisons to other committees. Me with the Park Commission. I mean, we're closing at dusk now. The Triple E had us closing 15 minutes earlier every week. And now with daylight savings time, dusk is now before that time even. So, the Route 18 fields, today was the scheduled day for the second lawn mowing of that. So, the grass has to grow 18 months before they can play on it. So it's brand new, been seeded just recently, and it's growing nice now. So I don't know if you saw the pictures, but I went to a meeting there.
That's the Ted Williams camp.
Yeah, the fields across from where the B-Fit gym, right directly across from the gym, is brand new fields.
Mhm.
So it was a gravel pit, and then in the back is referred to as the old gravel pit, and that's the turtle habitat there. So a lot of people ask, well, what about the turtles? Because we just put the field there, but the turtle habitat is actually behind where they have the old gravel pit, closer to the woods. So that is still there and preserved.
And we're gonna make sure that Don Pond Park does not mow too too late next spring, right?
Oh, too late? What do you mean?
If they can mow it early, mow the land that is close to the stream,
Right.
but after.
Okay, so they can mow it once, like in the
But they mow it
beginning,
once and then they let it grow.
let it grow after that. Yeah, bring it up to them again. I think when I brought it up to them this spring, it was already past that time. Because my first meeting,
It was already past that time, so they
Yeah.
weren't supposed to mow it anymore.
Right. I think it was, my first meeting was in April. I don't know if I mentioned it, my first meeting or my second meeting. So that was probably already past the time frame you're talking about. And I only mentioned it to them that one time.
But the idea is that they mow it, I forget exactly what the date is, but they mow it in April, they don't mow it after
Right,
that.
so let it grow.
Because the idea is to mow it before the turtles start to move, and then let it become habitat just for all kinds of things along, and to keep to protect that perennial stream.
Right. Write that down. No mow. What month would be a good month to stop mowing it? What do you think, time frame?
March, end of March.
No mowing after the end of March. Right.
I just say that because I know I, unfortunately, in my own yard, killed a turtle in April. So sometimes they're early.
Okay, the next liaison is you for the APC. You had a meeting last month,
Yes,
right?
they did, October 5. It was not a posted meeting. They're meeting in December, it's going to be the 31st, New Year's Eve, 9:30 to 10:30, and it will be posted, and it's considered a final wrap-up. They have not posted their meeting because of security issues. They worry that the type of security which they set up will be compromised if people are listening into the meetings. But anyway, just some of the concerns that were expressed by Nancy Yates, who was here, is the director for the Assawamsett Pond Complex. And some of the concerns that she expressed were mostly about the dam at the head of the Nemasket. Kayaks have been reported and picnickers. And they are trying to stop people from using that dam completely. And then the complaints about parking over by the waterworks on Nagus Way, because they've set a limit because they were blocking vehicles, there was so much parking there. There was discussion of the Nemasket River, and people have been concerned about the weeds and the tendency for sand to build up, and There's been a lot, they said there's been a lot of money proposed, a lot of money has come forth for studies. Serpent, Bill Napolitano being the Serpent representative, and Norman Orrell, our rep, he's a rep. He's our state rep, yeah. They have been very good in helping to get money, but most of this has been for studies. And they just were saying that the studies they all need to be done, and it needs to be a regional approach. There was talk about sand trap plans that have been around for a long time. It really needs to be done. They want to work on the rules for use of the APC, because they say there are a lot of inconsistencies. And one of the problems that they have, people who live on the pond are grandfathered, the kind of use they can make, and they are allowed to have a certain number of boats. They cannot have kayaks or canoes, which is sort of surprising for some people. I'll tell you the reason for that. But their concern about the rules partly is that a lot of these houses are sometimes rented seasonally, sort of as like an Airbnb type of thing. And the people who come with their kayaks and their canoes because they don't know the rules. So there is concern about how to deal with that. The reason why they don't want kayaks and canoes is that people get in and out of the water more with kayaks and canoes. If you have a stable boat, then there's not as much of a problem, but they're more, I guess statistics just show that there are more drownings with people who use kayaks and canoes, especially on a lake like that. And they say that body contact and drownings are a serious issue in a water supply, because it's, I guess I don't have to go into too much detail for you to understand that. There was a mention made of Island Terrace, just pointing out the fact that the nursing home that had been there never made use of the shore, and that the current protection of the shoreline is needed. And that's about it. I urge everybody to try to not everybody's going to be able to come to that meeting, but it is going to be recorded. I don't know if they told you about it yet or not. Well, it's a long time off. It'd be the 31st of December.
Now,
But they said that they were going to broadcast it. It is going to be a posted meeting.
Thank you.
So,
That's news to me.
now are we talking, is this a nighttime?
no,
New
this
Year's
is morning.
Eve, December
Yeah,
31st?
9:30 to
9:30
10:30
to
on New Year's
10:30,
Eve.
yeah, that's exactly.
Right, yeah.
They're bringing in the
That's
new year.
That is an early morning meeting.
Is it at the library?
I am assuming so, yes. It will be, they have not been posting their meetings or having them recorded for the reasons that I mentioned. And but they had decided that they need to be transparent and public about some of the things they do. So they are going to have that one meeting that will be public. So that's about it. That's all I have.
I got an email today from Patrick about the master plan, his update. So let me try to find that. Not seeing it now. You go ahead with, oh, wait, here it is, never mind, it just came up. I got it. All right. Joe Chamberlain has been added to the committee representing Conservation Commission. Committee went over the drafts for the streets and transportation goals and objectives.
No, I'm sorry. I guess I must have missed a beat. What are we talking about?
The master
plan. Okay.
Yeah. So Joe Chamberlain's been added to that. They went over the draft for streets and transportation goals and objectives. It should be up on the Serpent website under Lakeville Master Plan. And their next meeting, November 19th, excuse me, public workshop is still set for January 11th from 10 to noon at Assawamsett. So that's what he had. And you have anything from Historical Commission? I know.
Well, there was somebody, can't think of the name now, but he, from Serpent, I guess, and he discussed the things that were recommended from the last meeting where they discussed cultural resources, and he was going to email to our secretary his recommendations for the master plan for, they hope to have it wrapped up, I think, in January. And so that's in the works.
All right.
He sent out, I guess, the open space report that's going to be in the master plan. Am I right? Because that's something that I've saved it, but I haven't read it yet.
Oh, yeah, that other email that Patrick sent
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I don't have a copy of that with me, actually.
No, I have it,
Yeah.
it's in my inbox, I just, like I said, I'm still catching up.
Yeah. Back to the agenda. No, I lost it. There it is. Okay, discussion, updates on Island Terrace property. Now, there were a couple meetings. I don't know if anybody watched. It was the planning board. What's this? Oh.
You go ahead, because then I have things to say.
Okay. They were at the planning board, spoke, I want to say it was for a good hour. And then went to the selectmen meeting and they spoke for a shorter period of time at that one. I really need to watch the videos again and just, soak it in more, but there's a lot of new information out there about what they're planning to do. Do you have anything to say about it?
Well, they did pull back a little bit more. Just Island Terrace is an 8-acre parcel that used to be a nursing home, and it's kind of adjacent, or right, sort of in the middle of a lot of protected open space.
Betty's Neck.
Betty's Neck, yeah. Are you familiar with the
Yes.
with the whole thing about Island Terrace? Because I won't run you through the whole thing if you are.
I'm familiar, yeah.
Okay, all right. So one of the things that I would very much like for us to do is this. And this is just a draft of something that I've got 6 of these. The idea is kind of following up on what they were saying at the Assawamsett Pond Complex meeting, that the shoreline needs protection. And this is how I thought something that we might be able to put out there. The process is well along. My gathering is that, because I watched the same meeting that I think you did, and it sounded like the only thing that they were really trying to work out is the roadway. So they may look at this and say, hey, it's too late, I don't know. But I wanted to throw this out because Joanne Upham and I were planning on going to the next planning board meeting and speaking up about this. And so I just came up with this as something that maybe the Open Space Committee might be willing to send out. So, you want me to read it? For the sake of our listeners?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, I'm proposing that we send this to the planning board.
So is it a motion? Is there a motion?
No, well, I could make it that way, okay. I would like to move that we send this memo or some modified version of it to the planning board with regard to the condominium project proposed for the former Island Terrace nursing home property. And this is the body of it. The pristine beauty of this site and its immediate access to many acres of walking trails is thanks to a large expenditure of public funds, especially by the state and the town of Lakeville. The expenditure was made primarily to protect the water quality, but has also served to provide wildlife protection and recreational opportunity. Therefore, for the guaranteed protection of the water quality in the Great Ponds, we are asking the planning board to require that this project be contingent on a conservation restriction on the entire Assawamsett Pond complex shoreline of the property to as great a depth, that's feet from the water line, as possible. And that is something that I haven't looked at the plan, so I don't know what figure that might be. The conservation restriction should stipulate natural vegetation only, no soil amendments, no water access by residents, pets, or non-resident visitors, and no activity at all which might in any way allow contaminants of any sort into the water, unless specifically authorized by the holders of the restriction for maintenance of the the healthy natural state of the land so protected, or the waters of the pond. Long sentence, sorry about that. The conservation restriction would be held by the Lakeville Conservation Commission or a land trust organization such as the Wildlands Trust, and would be accompanied by an endowment sufficient to cover the cost of enforcement of the conservation restrictions terms.
Okay, this is a recommendation, right?
She motioned that we write
That's all we have,
something.
that's all we have the power to do
Yeah,
as
something
the
along
Open
these
Space
lines.
Committee is to recommend,
Now, we
Brian.
can't order them to do that.
Of course we
Right,
can't,
As
no.
long as it's understood that it's a recommendation.
Right.
And we hope that they.
It says we are asking the planning board to require it.
Right,
We are asking the planning board to require it.
right.
We can't tell them to do anything.
Well, it sounded like we were telling them. Sorry, I mean, I just want to clarify.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? Nothing heard, all right.
All right, so it actually does need, I mean, we can just,
Make some,
it does need to have a mention of
editing.
feet, or it could be just, well, that has to be reworded, or actual number actual to be put in.
the number of feet from the water line?
Yes.
What do you think is an appropriate figure
I have to
there?
look at the plans, because I don't, I tried to get there, but I just didn't have time.
All right. We have a little bit of time then, I mean,
Well, they're not meeting
When's their
until, they're
next
meeting in,
meeting?
I think their next meeting is, may not be till December, when this one comes up again. I think that's what I heard him
Okay.
say, but we don't have much time.
right?
So,
I mean, it doesn't take much time
to look at the
get
map
the letter out
and determine,
send it.
yeah.
All right, so, yeah, I really recommend watching the last planning board and selectmen meetings, if anything, just for Island Terrace. I mean, I want to watch them over again just to get a better understanding of it myself.
Are they hosted by Lake Camp?
Yes. And,
Watch the planning board one. That's the most.
yeah, that's the full version, right? Okay, we did the Harding Street. The Lakeville Hospital property updates. The only thing new in the last month on that is the duplex properties on Rhode Island Road, 44 to 46 Rhode Island Road. It was gonna be 12 units.
Yeah.
Now it's 16 units, 8 duplexes for 16 units on 2.81 acre, I want to say, I believe is the number. So, a lot of households on 2 point whatever acre it is.
You're talking about individual buildings, 12?
8 buildings.
Oh, 8.
Building, side by side,
16,
shared wall.
right, 16 units. There's really nothing on there that needs to be protected. Just a tiny piece of wetland that they're not building on anyway, so. I mean, I don't think there's really.
Who's the developer?
Turner.
Sure.
Paul, I want to say his name. It's definitely Turner.
Didn't they do a walkthrough the other week?
There was a walkthrough, yeah. So, I mean, there's nothing that anybody's trying to protect on that area. It's just, it's real close to Rush Pond Road. It's like, it abuts them. It's right across the street from some houses on the Rhode Island Road. It's by Haskell, a little close to that. So, I mean, they're going to be building those areas, but the issue is just, it's so many units in 2 acres. But nothing to protect. So.
Well, it's on, I mean, the decision was made by the town such a long time ago that that was going to be a focus on developing commercially.
And here it is, duplexes instead of commercial.
Yeah, that's most unfortunate.
Right.
Well, I think the market is driven right now by housing. People order things through the computer. There isn't a big demand for commercial right now.
But housing demands more services than commercial does.
That's right. I don't know if there's a motion for anything.
This is a 40B?
4 of the units.
Oh,
4 of 16 are.
Wow.
Just so I'm clear, this is distinct from the auction for the hospital subunits that happened recently?
There were 8 units, 5 of them auctioned off, and this is part of that. It's all the way to the end of it on Rhode Island Road. It's the last sliver of property. Yeah.
So these will be built on those 5 that were
just
auctioned?
built on
On one of them?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Let's see, next is election of a clerk. Does anybody here want to be the clerk?
No?
No.
I did it for many, many, many years. I don't want to do it anymore, please.
I think we could postpone this till the next meeting.
Table that one.
Table that,
Table
because
that.
somebody might be sworn in by then.
All right, tabled. New business. Is there any new business that we didn't discuss today so far? We got anything new? All right, let's see. Announcements and correspondence. I got some mail.
Oh, actually, yes, there
You
is,
got
I'm
something?
sorry, there is a piece of new business. This is just something, a mention of something that I think we need to pay attention to. And that is whatever is going on with ocean spray. I just had some hints thrown at me. I don't know what it meant. I don't know what's happening with ocean spray. I know nothing about it, but it is a large piece of land.
What's going on with it? Where on their property?
I don't have the details, except it was told, I don't know if this is true or not, but their property may have been sold. The company's thinking about moving, so that type of thing.
I think you're breaking some news here.
I don't,
think anybody's heard this.
believe me, don't tell, but listeners do not take this as fact. This was thrown at me as rumor. I know nothing about it, but I think we need to perk our ears up. This is not a property that was one of our priorities, but if it is a large property in town, possibly it ought to be added to our priority list, because anything that is more than 100 acres is, if it's contiguous land, it is worth protecting. And this is one that somehow never came up when we did that priority
Well,
list.
I do know, I recently read in the bylaws that between Cross Street and Bedford Street, north of Taunton Street to the Middleborough line, in the bylaws, they want to make that commercial. They want to commercialize that area. And that is in that area.
That's not locked in stone, though.
Right.
We've got an awful lot of land that's open for commercial now, and
Yeah, maybe it's time to add that to our list of priorities.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Make it an 8th priority, maybe? 'Cause I don't think we need to drop any of our 7 priorities.
No,
I
but we
think
could
make
take,
an 8th.
maybe take a look at, between now and the next meeting, maybe take a look at the way the land is held and see what there is there that's,
See if we can
I
find
was
what's
always
going
under
on
the
at
impression
Ocean
that the only
Spray.
thing that they owned was wetland. And the
Well,
person dropping these hints at me said that there's a lot of upland.
I mean, yeah, a lot of that is wetland, but it's also, it was 2 years ago where they put this in the bylaws to make that whole area, you know, to try to
It's not in
encourage
the
it.
bylaws.
I
is
read it, I
It's-
read it.
It's not a bylaw.
It's called a bylaw, it's in the bylaws, and I've been telling some people who live on Cross Street, it's in the bylaws. I want to say it's page 40, but I could be wrong there. But if you go in the bylaws and just search Cross Street, Bedford Street, you'll see it. So,
Cross Street?
Cross Street to Bedford Street, to Taunton Street to the Middleborough line.
Okay. I think that's, I'd have to look at that.
It's all trees is what it is. So yeah, we'll definitely have to keep our ears open, be proactive on that one and figure out what's going on. Next, correspondence. I got some things in our box. I haven't been able to read it yet because I just opened it when I got here. Unfortunately, one of them I got wet with all my stuff that was out in the rain yesterday. Soaked one of these. They're from UMass Amherst, Forest Carbon and Protecting Your Legacy, a landowner's guide to conservation-based real estate planning. So these are some items that we can look over. Like I said, I haven't even looked at them yet, I just opened the mail. But I'll have these here if anyone wants to look at them after the meeting. That's all the correspondence I have. Let's see what else. Alright, and I will never forget to print the agenda again. Alright. Agenda items for next meeting. Some of these notes that I wrote down today, I can add it. Anything we haven't mentioned yet that should be on the agenda? No. Alright. Next meeting date. Brian was telling me when he got here, Historical Commission is gonna be
No,
in here.
Historical Society.
Oh, not the Historical Commission, it's the Historical Society is gonna be in here, okay, completely different.
Right.
On the 4th, December 4th, it's the first Wednesday of December, right?
Right, the first Wednesday of December, the Lakeville Historical Society will be meeting here for a supper. And so, I mean, it's still possible to put the divider across there and, you know, one side or the other to have another meeting going on.
And what time do they meet?
7?
So are they just eating or are they meeting and eating?
Say it again?
Are they just having dinner or are they having a meeting and
There'll
then?
probably be some form of entertainment afterwards, such as some kind of Christmas reading.
It's a noise.
And so if we do a meeting somewhere else, are you gonna be at this one then?
I can only be in one building at a time. And if you want to go and meet at another place, that's fine, or you can come and eat with us too.
I see what he's saying. He wants to have both things. That's what he's trying to do. You're trying to get a meal, you're trying to get a meeting in. I like it, because I'm for it too. I'll eat.
But you have to be there early, I mean.
All right.
So I'm wondering how how possible it would be to have a meeting
Everybody brings
with
it.
what seems like a party going on with a bunch of wild historical societies.
Oh, it's wild, yes.
They know how to party.
So you're proposing
Party like
that
it's
we meet
1776.
over there.
Well,
They
I'm
meet
saying
here.
you could go to the police station and hold your meeting, or you could do it, one side or the other here, whatever works for you folks.
I know Lorraine told me yesterday she wants to talk about her meeting location again for next month, so it might have had to do with she didn't want me here because the historical society's here, who knows? So we have to figure out what our location will be for next month still. We know it'll be the first Wednesday of December at 7 p.m., but we'll have to figure out if it's gonna be a combined meeting or shared building, or if we're gonna be somewhere else. Now, do you know if Historical Society, did they throw this out as an idea, or is this an idea that you just brought to us today?
Well, we always have done this for many years.
But I mean, to have us in the same building.
No, we haven't discussed that at all. I just,
I don't wanna decide we're gonna be partying with them if they didn't want us at their party,
I mean, there'll be noise. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah. So we'll have to think on that one. So it'll definitely be, excuse me, that day. We'll figure out the location situation now, and we'll keep you posted.
Right.
Right now, just for the record, Wednesday, December 4th, 7 p.m., location to be determined.
TBD.
And let's see, that is it, and that's the next meeting date, so we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Want to make it?
Sure, I motion to adjourn.
All right.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nothing heard. Meeting adjourned, 8:18.